Welcome to Creating Awareness, conversations that awaken, empower, and heal your soul. I'm Sarah, and this space is for the deep thinkers, the soul seekers, and the cycle breakers. Each episode will explore real stories, powerful insights, and transformative tools to help you return home to yourself. From trauma to self-love, shadow work to soul purpose, here we go beyond the surface together. Hello everyone, and I am so excited to have you back on this episode because I have so much to tell you about my advanced PSYCH-K training that I did last weekend. I went to St. Kilda for massive transformative, who knows, days where we learnt some incredible stuff, some incredible techniques. I am still honestly blown away by the powers that be, I guess. When I signed up to this, I saw a few things at the end of our basic workshop that made me go, I'm intrigued. I need to know more. What's happening here? But I was not prepared for the level of wow that I received in 4 days. I was in a group of incredible people, and we learned so many different techniques. So if anyone has got PSYCH-K from me before, you will have experienced doing, say, a belief system balance, for example. So say, for example, you have a goal that you're working towards. We do a balance. You might have tested weak, and then you test strong at the end, and then you go forth, take action, and things should start to shift. There's lots of things in with that, like there could be secondary gains, there could be more balances around that thing, but you kind of got the concept of, okay, well, I have a belief. My subconscious isn't in alignment with my conscious brain, so it isn't quite matching up, and I'm not quite achieving what I want to achieve. Now, this next lot of stuff that I can now do with you guys, also, actually, back again, also alleviating stress. So I had a few clients that came in with PTSD from like a car accident or abusive relationships, or just a traumatic event, or just life. Honestly, there is so much stress just in day-to-day life. And to be able to balance and really drop that stress level out changes so much. Stress is the biggest killer. It causes so many issues within our body. Our cortisol levels go up. The stress response, the fight or flight freeze, is meant to be for a quick in and out situation, not to be on all the time. And that's the problem at the moment, is that we are constantly in stress, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, constantly. And that's not how it's supposed to be, right? You're supposed to run from a saber-toothed tiger, shake it out, move on with your life. But now we get chased by a tiger, we don't shake it out, we don't move on, and we tell all our friends about that tiger that chased us and nearly killed us. And it's crazy. And then we blow it up in massive proportions as well, because in your mind, that's exactly what happened, right? So alleviating the stress is going to really help with a lot of elements too. So, because stress causes a lot of the illnesses that we have, the pain, the suffering. So it can, if you start to really remove a lot of the stresses in your life, you can really start to change how you feel mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it. Mind, body, spirit, all around. So one of the big things that we learn at the start of the 4-day training is how to build rapport. So a lot of you might know how to build rapport. You might be really good with that interaction back and forth. You and me are having a good chat. We're laughing. Things are great. But what happens if you and I have a good rapport, we're chatting, and then I get distracted and I look away? What happens to your brain, right? You go, what do you do? You're rude, right? What happens if you're the person who got distracted and you're like, oh, that thing over there? Oh, sorry, what? Whoops, broke rapport. Or you've got those people at your house knocking on your door trying to sell you something, and you're trying to break rapport and you can't. And you're like, yeah. Oh, I really wish I could shut the door right now, but I don't want to offend them. I don't want to upset them. And so you get stuck in this sales call for ages, right? So rapport's great. When you got that back and forth, you're vibing, things are feeling great. But any of you experienced when you were at school and you had a teacher that you just didn't get along with, or a student or a colleague or just anyone, and you're like, I just don't vibe with them. I don't know. There's just something about them that annoys me. So you would have heard about visual learning, auditory learning, kinesthetic, right? So maybe you're someone who needs to see what happens, read the instructions, and then you get it. Maybe you're someone who needs someone to tell you the instructions, or maybe you listen to books, or maybe you feel things deeply and you got to kind of do it and physically do the thing to learn, right? Now, when you meet someone who's trying to teach you in a visual way or communicate with you in a visual way, and you're not visual, you're someone who needs to do it, and they're like, that's fine, just show me the instructions. It's like, no, I'll just do it and we'll show you. All of a sudden, you're not in rapport anymore, and that's conflict. So there's a rapport balance you can do. This helps to strengthen your communication, helps with your nervous system as well, because all of a sudden, if someone breaks rapport with you, or you're like, sorry, I don't have time for this, have a great day, bye, you don't feel bad. You're like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. They don't want to listen to my story, I'll just tell myself. You know, you're not offended, you're not got this charge in your body, be like, what an asshole, how could they do that? That's so rude. And then go down this narrative of thing when they could have just honestly got distracted. They might be interested in what you're saying. They could still be listening to what you're saying, but they've just looked away for a second because something over there, maybe they got triggered or they have PTSD and something's... You don't know, right? And we create stories in our head. If you do this rapport balance, right? And I've already watched this. I did it with my partner. And he was like, wow. Because you do the activity, we act out being in rapport, breaking rapport, all the different steps, right? And at the start, you're like, yeah, and you're telling a story, and all of a sudden you're like, and you're meant to keep talking, and all of a sudden you're like, you can't. You're like, you don't know what you're about to say. Your brain just goes, bloop, glitches, and there's nothing happening there. You're like, what happened? Then when you do it again, after doing the balance, and you're talking and they break rapport with you, you just keep talking. You're like, all right, if you don't want to listen, that's fine. Like, and you genuinely feel that. It's easy to go, oh, well, I don't care what people think. Consciously, you may not care what people think, but subconsciously, you might be sitting there going, I'm never talking to them again. They are absolute a-holes. Or you have that wall up of, I don't care what people think, because you have this big narrative of nobody cares about what I have to say, right? So imagine if you could just break all that and not have to worry about it. And all of a sudden you're in rapport with people, you're out of rapport with people, and you are and you aren't, and it doesn't matter. There's no emotion attached to it, right? There's no subconscious glitches happening that are causing this awkwardness that can happen when you are in out of rapport, right? So that's only one, right? That's one of the things that I learned. Absolutely epic. And he said, you're going to forget this one because then you're going to be blown away by the next lot. So hold on to your seats, people. So another thing that we learned is core beliefs. So this was really cool. So we all kind of know about, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, shouldn't assume. But core beliefs are your values, your morals, those real deep-seated belief systems that we have that kind of shape how we go about things, kind of shape whether you're going to achieve that goal or not, whether you're going to hold yourself back, right? So everyone's different. And this was really interesting for me because a lot of the time when you go through the belief system, so there's like just a couple there, and you can add your own. This is just to give you a bit of a guide on what you can do. You can always add your own. So, for example, I can achieve anything that I want. Might be a core belief system that you have. May not. You may not believe that. You may consciously believe that, but your subconscious goes, no, you don't. You don't believe that. So there's that. And then there's the opposite. I can achieve anything that I want. I can't achieve anything. I suck. Just an example. It's probably not in there. But something like that. And so if you have that you test weak for I can achieve anything I want, you want that to be strong, right? You want to actually believe that. If you test strong for I can't achieve anything, you want that to be weak because you can, right? So you kind of have two to sort of balance and just make sure, see where you're at. So I thought when we first started this that it was a case of, if you tested weak for the first one, strong for the second one, you do the balance. Well, the issue I found was I was strong for the positive ones most of the time. I can do anything. I'm great at what I do. But some of them I also had the the opposite to it, which was I can also not achieve anything. So on one hand, I believe that I can do anything that I want, but I also believe that I can't do anything that I want. Can you see how you might have your foot on the accelerator and the brake? You might be doing donuts in the car park. Bit of an issue. So if you balance for the strong one, all of a sudden the weak one just dissipates. You no longer have the strength for, if you believe that you could achieve anything now, you balance for it, all of a sudden you can't believe because your subconscious is now on board. I know it's a lot to process, and I will explain a little bit more in a session, but that just gives you a bit of a brief about what core balances are all about. So if you think about, if you test, what you want is your foot on the accelerator of your car, so you have test strong for those positive statements, and you're on your way to achieving your goals, transforming your life, and getting everything that you desire, right? But if you also believe that, like I did, I believed both, you have your foot on the accelerator and the brake, you're kind of just doing donuts in the car park. The opposite is, actually I think you stopped. Anyway, the opposite is that, you think the positive and it's weak in your body, and you think strongly about the negative, and you want that to be weak. So you're in reverse. So you're going backwards. You're going back because you don't believe in yourself, basically. So if we can shift that, all of a sudden, if your subconscious is in alignment with the conscious goals that you're trying to achieve, all of a sudden your accelerator is going and you're no longer in your own. That's what sabotage is, right? You're getting in your own way because, you might be heading in the right direction, but your foot's on the brake. So you're not moving. You're consciously let's go. And nothing's happening because your foot's on the brake. So let's take your foot off the brake. So that's another one that we learned about, which was pretty amazing. The next one we did was pretty transformative, had a few theories. Relationship balances. Now, this is really, really cool. So Ian was talking about how he does this for people before they get married. So if there's they're about to have a wedding, they'll do a relationship balance to really strengthen that relationship before, getting that big commitment. Because what this is doing essentially with all these balances, right? And I've talked about this before. When you are in a trauma response, PTSD, stress response, you're kind of shutting off part of your brain, right? You've got your two parts of your brain, your left and your right hemisphere. And what happens is when we're in a full brain state, you've got the bridge. And so you can access your logic, you can access your emotional, and you're good, you're going. But a lot of the time when we get triggered, traumatized, stressed out, and we end up cutting that cord, and we end up either super logical or we're super emotional, right? So what we want to do in all these balances is put you in a whole brain state so that you can think clearly. That doesn't mean it's going to be you're going to be love, light, and Jesus all over, because life still happens. You still get to make a choice, but you're making a choice with the whole brain. You're not just emotionally reactive or super logical and I don't understand, it doesn't matter, but logically it doesn't make sense. So you get to think with all of your brain so you can make better choices. You can feel better because you're not going to be, say, super emotional, or you're going to actually be able to feel some stuff so that you can make a more field decision rather than just logic, right? So this just helps you to access a part of your brain, well, all of your brain, right? So then you're not actually stunting yourself. You're not holding yourself back. This has been life-changing for me, and I can feel the difference within myself. So I've been doing this stuff since October last year. The Advanced has definitely leveled me up. I've been doing PSYCH-K every day since I've got back. Obviously, we were doing it at training. So over a week. Over a week. And I feel different. I feel very different. And whenever I start to feel like something's out of alignment, I can just go balance for it. It feels great. It's such a beautiful tool, right? So the relationship balance isn't just for you and your partner. It could be you and your mum, your dad, your siblings, your best mates. It could be for you and your boss. Maybe you have a bit of conflict with your boss. You could do rapport balance with them. You could also do relationship balance with them. And so when I say with them, I know it's like, I'm not going to bring my boss or maybe your ex-partner. Let's bring your ex-partner into a session. Hey, they're going to be up for it. No. There's a really, really, really cool technique that's kind of the reason I ended up in this, because I was like, how did they do that? There's this thing called surrogation. Now, for those who do any energy work, you might understand what surrogation means. But what it essentially means is you're kind of adopting that energy for a second to transform it and giving it back. It's probably not the best description. It's the one I've got. So it's trippy. It's a little trippy because all of a sudden when you're muscle testing, you're testing strong for another person. So for example, say you wanted to do a balance on you and your boss because you have a bit of an issue. The relationship isn't great. It's just conflict all the time. So you might come in and this is the thing. This is all guided by superconscious, God. It's a higher power that's saying, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't. So it's only if it's for the best intention and the greater good of both people involved will it work. Otherwise, it just won't. So I don't want you to freak out and be like, whoa, that doesn't seem ethical, because it's all checked. It's all checked. You can't do a balance on someone without higher consent, and it's their higher selves, or whatever you believe, right? Superconscious, God, it's for their best good. It's for your best good. If it's not, if you're going in, you're like, oh, I'm going to see who I can take on a date. I'm going to make her love me. No, probably not for her greatest good. Chances are it's not going to work. It's not a mind control thing, okay? This is not anything to do with mind control. All it is helping the energy to be in a whole brain state. Both of you be in a whole brain state. So all it's doing is removing the stress, removing the trauma, removing the PTSD, right? I don't know how that could be bad for anyone. So most of the time these balances work, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you'll have to... there might be someone else who needs to surrogate, or there's lots and lots of different things to consider. So you can do a relationship balance on a group of people. So say you've had a bit of trauma around older men, right? You were abused by an older man, and so now whenever you see older men, you're like, you get a little bit of a bit of a weird feeling, right? You can balance so that whole genre of people, I guess, age range of people doesn't affect you. And you can go, oh, cool, I'm not painting everyone with the same brush. We do the same thing with race. If there's a certain ethnic group that you're like, I just can't stand them. Well, we can do this relationship or even rapport balance. Okay, these two are both, you can do a bit of both. And all of a sudden, it shouldn't affect you. Okay? Now, like I said, there's layers to it. If you walk away from the session, you're like, I still am annoyed at them. There could be secondary gains. There could be more balances around maybe a specific person. Maybe there's a stressful situation that's happened that we need to alleviate. There's lots of different things we can do, but I'm just giving you a really brief example of the kind of stuff PSYCH-K can do. So, another one, right? There's so much cool stuff in this. So the other one that we learned is called life bonding. So if you think about your life, from conception to death, there's a lot of stresses in there. There's a lot of stress in that whole scenario, right? You're existing right now. I'm sure there's a bit of stress happening in some capacity. And if there's not now, because life is great and bliss, maybe there was, maybe it's coming. I don't know. Maybe you're scared of death. Maybe you had a really traumatic birth. Maybe you're not too sure, but you've done a lot of work and you just can't seem to figure out why you still feel not yourself, like something's off. So this life bonding one is really good because it's working with the thymus and the hara. So for anyone who does energy work, you may know this stuff. This was all new to me. So thymus energy you're bringing in and you're emptying the negative energy into the hara, and it's a breathwork kind of thing. And you go deep, you're relaxed, and you imagine you shift through your conception and you remove any stress from that. Then you remove any stress from birth to now. And then you experience your best death case scenario So how would you like to pass away? You know, like really think about that. And if there's some stress around it, oh, I don't want to leave the people behind, everyone will be really sad, all this kind of thing, you can alleviate that stress from that. Then we go through and you can play out your worst scenario, the thing you don't want to happen, the like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to end up in this scenario. You can alleviate the stress from that because you don't know, right? And if you're going around subconsciously going, oh gosh, I hope I don't have a car accident, that would be the worst way to go. Or I hope I don't, you know, people who have phobia of drowning or anything like that, you can start to alleviate the stress because we have future stress too. And death is one of those future stresses that so many of us have. And so if you can alleviate that, it's not that you go, cool, I don't care about dying. It's like you know it's coming, it's inevitable, so you might as well take the stress out of it so that you're not worrying about it now. And the whole point in this life bonding exercise is to remove the stress from the past, the stress from the future. Bring yourself to the now. Because if you're worried about things that have happened in your conception, one, you wouldn't even be aware of it probably, unless your parents told you had a traumatic birth. Maybe you might know, but what do you do with that? So shift that. And then maybe subconsciously you are really, really scared of passing away and how that might happen and when that might happen and all the stresses that come with dying. And it's one of those things that if that is something that is stressing you out, it is something that's going to happen. You can't avoid it. So why not take the stress out of worrying about it to bring yourself back to the now? Because imagine how much space you would have in this nice big brain of ours if we were able to alleviate the stress of things that are not even in the present. And like we can alleviate stress in the present as well, but this will be extra awesomeness because you're not taking on more of stuff that you don't need. So this is quite amazing. I've had some incredible results. I did some balances on my dog, super anxious puppy, and lots of separation anxiety. I think there's still some balances to do. He's still got a little bit of anxiety happening, but he was having really big issues with getting his nails trimmed to the point that we were doing it ourselves, and all of a sudden it wasn't okay. So then we were like, all right, we'll go to someone and get it done. Tried that. They were like, refused. They got like a couple of nails done. Then they were like, nah, we can't do this. Went to the vets. The vet's like, no, I'm not doing this. He needs to be sedated. And I'm like, I'm not sedating my dog every single time he needs to get his nails done. So I just haven't been doing it. And then he rips them out because they're too long. Problem, right? And if you're a dog owner, maybe this is a problem you have. Did some surrogation, balance for him. Me and my partner were able to do his nails. We didn't use clippers. We went and got a grinder. But we had the grinder near him. We would touch his paws and he would bite us. Every time we touched his paws, he'd bite. And we did some balances and stuff around it. And he was just relaxed. He was nervous, don't get me wrong. He was still fidgeting around. He didn't like it, but he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't biting us. I was able to lay him down on his side, give him lots of pats while my partner was doing his nails. And we got through and we did them all. And we just did a little bit. We didn't go too far because we didn't want to recreate trauma. But bit by bit, we're going to work him towards that. But I was just amazed that he was even just lying down on his side, relaxed. I also did a balance. The biggest one for me has been around the pain that I was experiencing with my adeno. Now, my Manac ceremony that I did definitely is the thing that shifted the energy around it. But before I got to that point, this really helped me to get rid of the PTSD around, oh my God, I'm in pain, I'm gonna, and then like that spiral of, oh, I'm gonna end up in so much pain. The balances were able to keep me present and go, not having to pull out all past experiences to have to feel into that past experience stress as well as the current experience stress. So I was able to alleviate a lot of that, which did help a lot with the level of pain that I was having. And the stories I have heard from even like the guys in the class, absolutely profound. Like, and I've seen it myself. I feel like a very, very different version of myself from October to now. So I already believe in this stuff anyway. Seeing the results from my clients coming and seeing me on a regular basis, or even the ones that have just popped in just once to try it out, I had, people come in with, severe stress from certain traumatic events, and like they were like nearly crying thinking about it. And you don't sit in that space for a long time. I don't want you to think that you're going to come to a session where you're going to sit and cry about any situation. You're going to have to think about it for a second just to sort of know where you're at with it now. Okay, this just helps you just to really believe in it, because if I just go, all right, we've done the balance, and you're like, cool, and you don't have anything to reference, right? If we think about science, you've got to have data before and after to sort of feel into, do I believe this? So for you to sort of just tap into a little bit of, okay, that stresses me out. And maybe if you have a phobia or something, you know how you respond. Phew, phone flies through the room and, you're out that door. Like, holy moly, no. And then maybe we've done a couple of balances around it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. And then you're not throwing things around ecstatic. You're able to go, oh, that needs to be removed, and then calmly go and sort it out. That's the difference. It's not like, oh, we're going to become best friends with spiders, for example. You may not. You might. You might end up having a newfound respect for them and go, well, they're just a living creature. Maybe I'll catch them and move them out. I don't know. Every single person is different. But what I'm sort of saying is we want to get rid of that reaction that, that I got to run out the door. We want you to be calm, okay? We want you to not stress and have that over brain, caught up in that emotional response. So, yeah, there's so many cool things you could do with this. Like, this is just some of the things that I'm learning now. I know there's more. There is so much more that I could tell you, but I'm already, almost half an hour in. So this is just a really good way for you to kind of get a bit of an idea of what I've just done doing the advanced, because some people are like, what is the advanced versus the basic? One thing I haven't mentioned yet is I can now do this online, right? We can do this over Zoom. I like in person because you get to be a part of the muscle testing, so you can, you've got that data to go, I tested weak, I tested strong. So you can feel that that's actually really happened for you. So I do like people to at least have their first few sessions in person so that you kind of know that I'm legit, for one. And then via Zoom, I can surrogate. So I take it on, do the surrogation, we do it together via Zoom, and then you balance strong afterwards. And then you'll see the transformations anyway, because what this does is it's not like you're taking a magic pill, right? So say, for example, you want to manifest more money abundance, right? I want more money in my life so that I can do more cool things. Cool, great goal. Lots of people have that. So if we balance and all of a sudden you're not getting in your own way, your belief system isn't like people who have money are assholes, or if I have lots of money, I'm going to have more responsibilities, or whatever the limiting belief system is around having lots of money, right? Say we've got rid of all that. We've shifted through that limiting belief system. And then you go and do absolutely nothing. Job opportunities come, friends want to collaborate with you and do something, or people are trying to give you money and you're like, oh, no, that's okay. That's your money. Don't give it to me. You're not taking the opportunities. You're not taking action towards that. You still need to take the action, right? Your belief system's going to help you in taking that action, right? And if you are not taking action towards that goal, then maybe there's a confidence thing, right? So maybe we shifted all the belief systems around it, and so now your belief systems are there, and you're like, well, how come it's not happening? Well, maybe you don't have the confidence now to take on those opportunities. So then maybe it's doing some balances around, okay, I have confidence, I'm confident with money, I'm confident with the role, that I'm confident with the version of myself that can handle what is required of me to make this lifestyle, right? I realized in October last year, I was like, I balanced in October last year that I was going to be super abundant and have all this money and all my business is going to be super successful. And I'm like, well, it's not happening. So obviously it doesn't work. And then I realized I didn't even have to talk to the class about it, because I realized within doing all this work here that I haven't become the version of myself that can actually handle a successful business. I haven't become the version of myself that can hold on to lots and lots of money and achieve what I want, right? Because there's still some things happening in the background. I think I'm there now because things are shifting so fast now that I've shifted those limiting beliefs over the last week, right? It's already happening. And honestly, it's been shifting for a couple of months. But it's really embedded that I'm not the version of myself yet that can handle what I'm trying to bring in. So once again, it comes back to that inner work. It comes back to what version of myself am I calling in? Am I calling in someone who's stressed all the time? Because this is the thing. When I was doing a lot of these balances, a lot of the time, And anyone who knows me knows this about me. I'm always doing lots of millions of things, right? And I realized that a big part of the journey is being content with where I'm at. That doesn't mean that I want to stay put. It's like, oh, well, I'm content where I'm at, so I'm not going to move forward. It's, well, I'm happy where I'm at, so I can slowly move forward rather than being like, I have to move forward. I have to achieve all the goals. No. Apparently that's not it. So I'm learning. So this is the thing, and everyone's different, right? So we all have different wants, desires, goals. Some people, like I must admit, I do like that busyness, but it's trying to not be stressed, right? So it's like being busy is fine, but being stressed is not. And there's a fine line between it. So maybe you're someone who does like being busy, that's fine. But maybe you're someone who actually doesn't, and you actually just want some more freedom and time to just relax in nature. And so you're calling in something where it can bring financial abundance in a way that's relaxing, in a way that doesn't require you to have to work 7 days a week, right? So if you get really specific with how you want to feel, right, that's the main thing. People are like, oh, I want this thing. But the thing is, we forget that thing over there is actually just a representation of how you're going to feel and what you think you're going to feel when you get it. And a lot of the time, people are like, oh yeah, I want to run my own business because I'll have more time, freedom, and flexibility. And anybody who's run their own business knows a lot of the time you don't have any freedom, time, or flexibility, and you are broke. So be really careful about what you want and what you think it means to get that. Okay? Because if you know how you feel and what you are calling in emotionally wise or feeling wise or lifestyle wise, you're more likely to understand what it might take to get there. I'm working with a client at the moment, and we're working on a business thing. And yeah, I realized, right, we're doing this business thing because they want to have this business. And I thought that they wanted to have connections and talk to people, and they wanted to be busy and doing more. And then when I was listening to things that they were saying throughout the sessions that, oh, you know, I want more time, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I was like, oh, okay. So they just want a lifestyle of actually less work with more gains. Because if it's about the interactions, we'd have to do it this way. But if it's actually not about the interactions and it's about, you know, getting people's stuff out there in a beautiful way, but it doesn't have to be in person, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we worked out a way where, you know, so much less time. You know, anyway, without going into detail, figure out what it is that you want, the feeling that you want, and then work backwards. And I've gone way off topic because that's not what I was meant to be talking about. But it's a part of it. It's relevant because it'll help you with, if you come and do a PSYCH-K with me, you'll have a bit of an idea of what do I want to bring in? What kind of feeling do I want? What am I feeling now? And what's the opposite of that? Okay, so if you are feeling stressed all the time, let's do a bunch of TPSs, which is the transformation of perception of stress. So if we can alleviate a bunch of stress, maybe you have a goal and you're like, no matter what I do, I try and achieve this goal and I seem to not achieve this goal. What's going on? We can look into doing core balances. If you're having problems with relationships, we can do rapport or relationship balances. It's endless. It's absolutely endless. I am still working out my systems at the moment. So I'm hoping by next week, I'll be able to be up and running and we will have systems in place so you can book in with me and we'll be able to do some sessions together because this is absolutely life-changing. And I'm going to do some discounted ones just because I am still learning the advanced version. So even if you come in and you want just a TPS or a quick balance that you've already maybe experienced, I am going to do some discounted ones just for a limited time just to sort of get the ball back rolling for me, give me some more experience, give you guys a bit more exposure to what is possible with this. And yeah, just see. Honestly, opportunities are endless with this. And I'm working towards becoming a teacher because I would love for you guys to be able to learn this. Because if you could do this for yourself and do it for your family and friends, ripple affect this type of work out into the world. Wow. Oh my God. Like you can go to a hospital and you can balance for the children that are sick. You can balance for your loved one that might not be well. Alleviating the stress. Maybe you've got someone who's passing over and you can see they're a bit scared about that. Life bonding. They no longer have the fear around it. If they can't physically do it, you got children. There were guys there. Oh, this guy was so beautiful. And he was sitting there and he was balancing for his 4-year-old because his 4-year-old was really anxious because dad wasn't there and dad usually looks after him. And so he was just sitting there and he was just doing balances for his son. And then his wife called and was like, he's relaxed, he's calm, he's gone to sleep, he's not upset anymore. Like, it worked, you know? So you can surrogate and do it for your children. It's incredible. Do it for your dog like we did, right? He obviously didn't go to take part in balance, you know? All right, test strong. Like, he'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you touching me? So, you know what I mean? It's endless. And I'm just super excited. And I hope you guys have got something exciting out of this and you have a bit of an idea of what you might want to have a go at. Maybe you've gone, ooh, core belief, that could be really helpful for my goals. Or maybe you've gone, yeah, I'm actually really scared of death. That would be really helpful to not have that fear. Or maybe you're like, yeah, I'm struggling with my relationships at the moment. There's a certain type of people I don't like. Or I'm really struggling with my partner. Or me and my mom are struggling. Or I have this issue with a friend or a colleague. And we can balance for that, right? And we can just, this is the thing. It can't hurt to try, right? Nothing major is going to happen in a negative way. We're not going to be doing any hexes or nothing weird. So it's just energy. It's just bringing beautiful energy towards yourself, removing stress, removing limiting beliefs. But I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions, reach out. If you want to book in, message me so that I know you're interested. And then when everything's up and running, and honestly, by the time I upload this video, I may be already up and running. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go with time. And yeah, I just really look forward to offering this out to people because it's just mind-blowing stuff. All right. Have a beautiful day. I will talk to you all soon and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you had just as much fun as we did with this episode. And hit like and subscribe if you want to hear what is coming up next. We have a few incredible people that are jumping on this channel to teach you and show you and inspire you and give you a little bit of a journey into their different stories. So stay tuned and don't miss an episode of something that may create awareness and change your life. Bye!